I didn't want to make this video, but I knew that eventually I had to. This is going to be more of a rant and not structured, more like a podcast, so if you want to stick around and listen to me vent about this game, then this is the video for you. If not, wait until Saturday for the Brighton match preview. I'm going to be extremely opinionated here and not as analytical as I usually am, because this game has annoyed me to no end, and I'm still not over it. I'm going to start by talking about our own team. I have other things to say about this game, but I'll leave them till later because I don't want people to think that I'm just making excuses for why we lost. We weren't good enough, simple as. I think the first half was fine, not good, but fine, but that second half might have been the worst half of football I've ever watched us play. Defensive errors for every goal, basically no attacking threat, midfield completely overrun by Bruno and a 17-year-old, total naivety from our entire team. I'm going to highlight or point out some individual players that I want to specifically talk about. First up, Kukara. I just don't think this guy is good enough for our club. I think he had a good purple patch and people kind of got back on board with him, but if we look at things without blue tinted glasses on, which I often do, he is bad defensively, he is bad offensively, he doesn't offer much of anything, and I'd rather see Colwill play there if Chile is not fit. Hell, even give Matson a game. I know Poch doesn't really see him as a left back, but I'd rather see either of those two instead in this lineup other than Kukara. There's a reason that he was trying to be sold before the window closed. And this is why, because it's for that first goal especially, just laziness. It's not even him being bad in that case. It's just laziness, not getting in line with your other defenders and leaving the Newcastle striker free and not offside is just a complete schoolboy error, and it shouldn't be happening. He's been bad in terms of set pieces as well. He's been awful, so yeah, that's my opinion on that. Next player I'm going to talk about is Thiago Silva. I think I've made my intentions known for a while about this bloke. I love him to death, but his time has come and passed. He makes far too many mistakes, and when he makes mistakes, they aren't minor ones either. They cost us goals and they cost us games. I'd rather see Disasi start. I can think of, just off the top of my head, without even like looking into it, I can think of 5 goals that he's specifically made a mistake for, and has led directly to that goal. And this isn't happening infrequently anymore. It's happening every other game. He has 1 or 2 games where everyone says, oh, he's the best centre-back in the league, and then he kind of just does this, and then everyone kind of excuses it and says, oh, well, he's 39, so, you know, he's going to make those mistakes. Well, I think we need to start transitioning out of this reliance on Thiago Silva and start playing that core 2 of Disasi and Badiashile. If not, Disasi and Colwill, if Colwill wants to play there too, I'll be fine with that. Also, maybe Fofana once he comes back. I think Fofana is a much more aggressive defender, and that's something we kind of need. But yeah, I think, and I said, I've made this known in the past. I kind of don't mention these in my, I don't really give my opinions on things in my match previews and match reviews, because I like my normal content to be a bit more statistical, analytical, and like non-biased, because I don't want to be seen like I'm a biased person. But this video is just a personal rant, and this is going to be my opinions. I just don't think Thiago Silva is good enough for this club anymore. As I said, I love the bloke to death. I love how much he cares for the club, and I love how much his whole family cares for the club, and I appreciate him coming out and making his apology and saying that he wasn't good enough and that type of thing on Twitter. But you can't just keep saying sorry for every mistake, you know? Eventually it's gonna have to cost you holding the bench for a while. Speaking of mistakes, let's talk about Reece James. Silly foul for the red. Admittedly, I don't think this is particularly a foul. I mean, he goes down quite easily, but again, the same thing could be said for the foul at the other end, which leads us to getting our equaliser, so I can't really complain that much about it. It's just silly. Both of the cards that he gets are just silly. Kicking the ball away, we know how referees referee the game now, about kicking the ball away and time wasting and arguing with the referee and dissent and that type of thing. You just can't do it anymore. And I think next season, I think a lot of the players will stop doing it because they'll have learned by now. But like, they need to start learning quicker. And Reece James is one of those players. So, like, you can't be kicking the ball away, getting a silly yellow for that. You can't be getting another yellow on the transition. Like, this is not setting a good example for the rest of the team. And as a club captain, you have to be doing that. I'm not saying that I don't think he is club captain material, because I know he is, and obviously he loves the club so much. And seeing him as captain was something I really wanted when he first came into the team. I wanted him to be captain. But honestly, at the moment, I think, and I've said this on Twitter, at the moment, I think the better option for the captaincy would genuinely be Axel Disasi. I think he is much more of a leader on the pitch, and he's more vocal, whereas Reece James is a bit too kind of... You see him do this a lot, right? You see him, when he talks to players, he always does that thing where he puts his arm around someone and he whispers into their ear and kind of like talks to them that way. That's not what we need on a football pitch. We need people shouting. We need people causing a ruckus, you know, like leading by example and being loud and being that guy that everyone respects. Because I don't think a lot of people, and especially the older players in the team, I don't think they do respect Reece James as a captain. He hasn't ever been a captain before, and I don't think they kind of listen to him as much as they probably should. But yeah, and certain situations, like obviously there's been situations with like penalty takers and like Sterling wanting to take penalties and Cole Palmer taking it off him and stuff. Reece James should be right there being like, no, I'm the captain, I'm saying who's taking it, Cole's taking it, he's our penalty taker, that type of thing. And you never see him do that. Like, and it's just a bit kind of, again, I just don't think he's kind of ready for the captaincy. I think he should get the captaincy at some point, but I don't think he's ready now. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Went on a bit of a tangent then. The next player I'm going to talk about is Leslie Ugochukwu. He was well out of his depth in this game, and it showed. He's a great rotational player, but nothing more than that at this current time. He's young, and he will improve, but he wasn't ready for a game of this magnitude, and shouldn't play versus the top teams. We severely missed Caicedo in this game, and I genuinely think we probably could have won this game if we played Caicedo. Obviously he came on in the second half, but it was a little too late, and this is going to lead me on to one of the things which I'm going to talk about this game, and this isn't even anything about the game, to be honest. It's just the international break, right? I am sick and tired of the international breaks. There's too many of them. There's too many games of football. All the footballers are absolutely knackered because they're constantly playing too many football games. I'm sick of the international break because we always come back from the international break playing worse, because our two core players, the main two in our entire team, the two that our whole team revolves around, are Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo. And because they're both South American, they have to go off to South America every single time there's an international break, and they come back late, they don't get enough training, and they can't play. And it's just... some teams are getting punished for it and other teams aren't. And let's be honest, and again, this is an opinion thing, but who cares about international football unless it's the World Cup, the Euros, or the African Cup of Nations? No one cares about international football. I genuinely think that all of international football can be scrapped other than those three. I genuinely couldn't care about any of the others, and it's just depressing, you know? It's just really depressing seeing every single time we come back for an international break, we just play absolutely god-awful, and all of the progress that we make leading up to the international break gets completely wiped out. The same thing happened last time. In the last international break, we started to see a little bit of a rise, and then international break came and we just tanked and went down again. We start building momentum against big teams in this last stint that we had, and then international break happens. We come back and get battered 4-1 by Newcastle. And that's another thing which I want to talk about. Like, a lot of people are saying, oh, this is embarrassing, this is a huge setback for Chelsea. To be honest, even though I'm ranting about this and I'm annoyed because I feel like we should have done better, let's be honest, Newcastle are a bloody good team, and we're playing them at home, and literally no one goes to St James's Park and does well. That is one of, if not the most intimidating stadium in the entire league. You can't go there and get a result. You get battered. Everyone gets battered at St James's Park. That's just how it happens. Especially now, considering the Geordies they have way more confidence in their team now. It's not how it used to be under Mike Ashley, where every single time we went to St James's Park, if they started doing badly, all the Newcastle fans would get on the players' backs and it would kind of drag them down rather than drag them up. Now, they are always behind them, always fighting for them, always fighting for the crowd and always fighting for the team, and vice versa. And it's just, you can't get a result there. Like, you just can't. And I said this in my preview. I said I would be very surprised if we get out of this game, because St James's Park is a really, really tough stadium to go and win at. So I don't think we should look at the result too badly, because, like, let's be real, Newcastle are a damn good team, and if we keep going the way we're going, they are going to take our spot in the top 6. That's just how it is. They are that good of a team. Obviously, they were playing with like 15 injured players. Admittedly, a lot of them are rotational players and not actual first team footballers, but like, still, they have so many injuries. And obviously, we have our own injuries and our own players that are kind of out. And hopefully we start seeing those two come in. The main two, obviously, I keep talking about, it's obviously Lavia and Nkunku. I think Nkunku coming back is genuinely so big for this club. You've seen him in individual training. He's going to be, obviously, I don't think he's going to be fit enough for this next game. He might get 5 minutes off the bench or something if he's fit to play, but I don't think he will. But the game after that, I think he'll come back. And genuinely, I see him like completely revitalising this team, because we saw how he played in pre-season when he was playing. He always get a goal out of nothing, and that's the thing that we need in these games, is that we don't have someone that can just create a goal out of nothing. We just have to kind of hope that we score. And I think, let's talk about the first half a little bit, because I think, I said earlier, I think the first half, I think we were okay. I don't think we were bad, and we saw a few moments of us playing that kind of Mauricio Pochettino ball and playing it through the middle and like actually doing some good things, and obviously Enzo nearly scoring, but Nick Pope denied him and that type of thing. We saw those kind of patterns of play, but we don't see it often enough. And again, it's like I said in my preview, and I always seem to get proven right when I say things in my previews of like, we need to do this or we're going to lose, basically, is what the majority of what I say in my previews, and then we don't end up doing those things and then we lose. And in this case, it was, we didn't shift the ball quick enough. And that's what I said in my preview. I said, we need to shift the ball very, very quickly, because Newcastle are so well organised and they're so stubborn and they're so good defensively that you cannot just pass the ball around slowly and expect to find gaps, because there won't be gaps. You have to make the gaps yourselves, and we just didn't do that. Another thing I want to address is the penalty that we should have been given when the game was still 1-1, which could have changed the complexion of the game. Sterling is clearly clipped on the left leg by Fabian Schär. Yes, he retracts his leg, but he doesn't do it quick enough. And yes, the ball is ultimately tackled off him from the other player, but he is still fouled, and this should be a pen. And I don't know why the VAR cleared this so quickly, because they clearly did not have a good angle of it, because the first angle that we get shown on the replays sees him clearly clatter his leg with shin to shin. Again, I've kind of come to expect it at this point of the referees just not giving us decisions. So yeah, I kind of expected that to happen anyway. But yeah, the only other thing I really want to say about this game, it's just one kind of moment that I want to point out, and that's the fact that Joe Linton, who eventually went on to score in the 61st minute, he should have seen red for this challenge. I'm sorry, but he should have seen red for that challenge. If people can disagree with me, I don't care. He did the exact same thing when he was playing for Brazil, and that was a red card. It was given a red card. So I don't see why this one isn't. There is absolutely no intention for him trying to get the ball. I don't see how anyone can see this as anything other than violent conduct. And obviously the bar for violent conduct nowadays is so low that this should constitute as a red card. Again, that's just the way that modern football is. Again, it's a contact sport. I mean, like, if this was 20 years ago, that would never be considered even a foul, let alone a red card. But nowadays, you can't do that. You can't wrap your arm around someone's head. You just can't do it. And as I said, he did the exact same thing in another game and got sent off for it. So I'm just asking for some damn consistency in the refereeing. And I always complain about the referees, because I do feel like every single game we are screwed over by referees in some way. And we've actually, talk about the Brighton game coming up, we've got Simon Hooper, I believe, is our next referee, and guess what he did? He's the guy who allowed Thomas Souček to handball the ball in the box and save a goal and not get sent off for it. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to have to make a graphic for him for my next GBU, I suppose. We'll do that. Quick editing mono here for a second. I got the referees' names mixed up. It's not Simon Hooper, it's Craig Pawson. It is the same referee that I was talking about that gave the Souček handball as a non-foul, but yeah, I got the names mixed up. Simon Hooper was the referee for this Newcastle game. Excuse that. But yeah, overall, this result is really depressing. Obviously, I had to make this video. I couldn't go a whole week without making a video. I wanted to make something for the midweek, but I didn't want to spend as much time and energy on this one because I don't think this game deserved my time and energy, and I don't think the players deserve my time and energy because of how bad of a performance they put in. It's just... The other thing I kind of want to talk about just before I end this here, because I will be ending this is just meant to be a rant, it's just the fact that our heads dropped so quickly, and just as soon as that second goal goes in, we completely switch off. We don't kind of, there's no way we win after that happens. And I think part of that is down to another thing which I haven't really mentioned, and I don't think a lot of people are mentioning, and how big of an impact this had on this game, was the fact that Mauricio Pochettino was not on the touchline. I think he is incredible at motivating players from the sidelines and keeping the players in the right mindset, and not only telling people what to do tactically, but also being like, hey, come on, we're not out of this, we can still win, that type of thing. And obviously he had a touchline ban, so he was in the stands and wasn't on the sideline. I think that is something major that a lot of people haven't really pointed out. And again, the reason why I say all this stuff at the end is because I don't want people thinking that I'm making excuses, but these type of things do make a difference. But yeah, overall, we just weren't good enough. This wasn't Chelsea, and to be honest, I think the future is looking incredibly, incredibly bleak with the fixtures coming up. I will, as ever, be back to my optimistic, positive attitude when I get into my my preview, because I feel like the games coming up are more winnable than this one. But it's just such a heavy defeat to take, and yeah, I'm just sad about it. Anyway, if you enjoyed me ranting like this, please do leave the video a like, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. As I said, the preview for Brighton will be out on Saturday, the day before the game, because it's a Sunday game. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in that video. Cheers and goodbye.